welcome. Tonight we're going to talk about a topic that hits close to home for me and for many others in the Milford area. I've always talked about what a wealth of information and services that the medical center provides. Tonight, for people who have diabetes, are affected by diabetes through their family, hopefully we'll give you an introduction. And I guess we're talking about winter diabetes, which I never knew there was a difference. I thought I was just a plain old fat old man 24/7 for 365 days. But I'm going to learn something new tonight also. So why don't we start with an introduction?
Okay. My name's Jo Fleming. I am the diabetes educator at Milford Regional Medical Center. Been there for over 20 years. And we have a very active program there with 5 nurse educators, 2 dietitians, and 2 endocrinologists. So we've got a pretty large program for diabetes education. And we reach out to anyone who's got diabetes where we can help.
Now, is it that big of a population in Milford with diabetes?
Oh, yeah. I don't think Milford is any different from any other community. Diabetes is very prevalent, and unfortunately, diagnosis is growing and growing.
Now, talk to us. What is diabetes for the people who are lucky enough not to have to know?
Well, diabetes, and the type that you were referring to, which is type 2 diabetes, is the pancreas pancreas, which is an organ right behind the stomach, really isn't putting out enough insulin to move the food that you eat into your body cells for energy. Sometimes it's putting out plenty of insulin or even extra insulin, but the insulin that's being put out is ineffective. It's not working real well. So we've got all this food floating around in the bloodstream, all this sugar, but it's not getting where it needs to get for energy. So it's a disorder, a disease that has a lot of problems with it, and our goal is to manage blood sugars. And I think one of the biggest things is that people need to know that this is something they have some control over. There's a lot of diagnoses out there that you have no control over. This is when you have some. And then there's another type of diabetes that is called type 1 diabetes, where the body stops making insulin altogether. And a third type called gestational, where the woman gets this during the pregnancy. Yeah. So we see all 3, but the most prevalent type is type 2.
Now, I'm a fat old man, I was told, and that caused type 2 diabetes.
Nah, I don't think it caused type 2 diabetes. I think you just, some of it's the luck of the draw, some of it is the family genes or heredity that, just lucky or unlucky to get. So there's a lot of heredity does play into it. Certainly being overweight plays into it for all of us, because the more pounds we carry over, the harder our pancreas has to work. And eventually it's going to burn out. It's just going to say, I'm done. I've worked hard enough. I'm done. So what we need to do is we need to give it a break.
So now, the pancreas is secreting insulin.
Yep.
And the fatter I am, the more insulin it has to secrete?
Well, the more you eat and the more body cells you have. So if you weigh 250 pounds, it's going to have to supply enough insulin to get insulin to 250 pounds of body cells. If you only weigh 220 pounds, it can make less insulin.
So all kidding aside, managing your weight is a biggie.
Yes, yes. If you're overweight. Now there's people out there that are not overweight, so I can't say in 100% of the cases.
I'd like to find them, because
right.
every time I go in, I hear fat old man lose weight.
Yeah, yeah. Well, but there's plenty of people that have diabetes and aren't overweight, but I think the majority of people with type 2 diabetes are carrying around extra pounds.
And if they could somehow lose those pounds, it would at least help.
Absolutely. It would help a lot, and their pancreas might be able to supply enough insulin for 200 pounds of body cells, but when you get to the 220, it just can't do it. So you don't know what that number is, but there is a thin line between where it can really handle what's going on and where it can't.
You're looking at my medical records. I can tell.
I've spoken to your doctor.
I was going to say, somehow the numbers are hitting too close to home.
No.
Okay, so number one thing to look for is what can you do to
Absolutely.
adjust your lifestyle to lose some weight
Sure, if you're overweight.
if you're
Absolutely.
overweight.
And
Yeah, but according
most
to the charts, I'm either supposed to
Yeah.
be 7'8"
right,
or
right,
weigh about 170 pounds.
right. So those charts really, you have to,
I mean, I
at
graduated
it.
high school at 175.
yeah, so that they're not really that good to go by. But you know by how you feel whether you're carrying around extra pounds or not. If things are getting tougher to do than they used to be, then, you know, we're carrying around
I
extra
thought
weight.
that meant I was just getting old.
No, old people should be able to do stuff just as easily as young people. We just do it slower.
Oh, okay.
But we should be able to still do it. I think the thing is, it's not just about weight, it's about how we live our lives. Are we staying active? Or have we gotten more inactive? You know, it's cold out there. Are we doing much, or are we staying in more? How are we eating? You know, we're hitting that holiday season and those buffets and those desserts and all that stuff that's coming in. It's getting tougher. It's getting
You know,
tougher.
it's funny because I just came back from a trip, and I realized at my age and after 100 years of marriage, cheating on my wife is having that extra dessert. You know,
So you figured out the cheat, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, at this stage in my life, cheating on my darling bride
Yeah.
is that she's not around to look at me,
can-
and I can have that scoop of ice cream.
Absolutely, absolutely. But when you do that, and you can, certainly people should be allowed to do those kinds of things every once in a while. But if you're doing it regularly, what happens is the blood sugar then rises every time you eat that. And when sugar, if you were to take that cup, fill it with sugar and add water to it, it would get sticky. It would get thick and sticky. Well, that's what happens after you eat a large meal or after you eat a big sugary dessert. Your blood gets sticky. And so when it goes through your heart or your eyes or your kidneys or your feet, it's not flowing through as smooth. It's now sticky, it's slower. And that's when we run into a lot of problems with kidneys, with feet, with heart.
Now, I've moved over. I mean, yes, I do need my alkaloids. And as you can tell, a 24-ounce supply. But now I've moved over to artificial sweeteners.
Okay.
And moved over to diet sodas, and because I was told that there's like 400 grams of sugar in a soda.
Lots of sugar in soda. In fact, it's mostly sugar.
It seems amazing to me.
Yeah.
You've got to be almost near the saturation level.
Absolutely. I have this chart that shows how much a can of soda has, and it's like a cup of sugar. And, you know, as you go down, it's a huge amount. So just switching to diet soda or seltzer or water or tea or coffee is a big improvement.
And the artificial sweeteners don't have the same effect, correct?
No, they do not have the same effect. And most of them are calorie-free, so they have no impact.
So they can't take away my alkaloids. I can have my
knock yourself out.
What other things should I worry about? You know, if I'm on the cusp, you know, you say you're pre-diabetic or you're at that point. So doing some exercise.
Absolutely key.
I mean, that seems like one of the biggies, just not
Right.
just for diabetes, but for cardiac.
Right. But, you know, you think about it, and you're someone who probably stays relatively active during the day, during the week. But there's plenty of people that are probably watching this thinking, what are they talking about exercise? Look at me. I'm not going to get out and exercise. I'm not going to do something physical. So it might be something as simple as turning on your TV set and walking in place instead of sitting in front of the show. You'll get just as much exercise as if you went out to walk, but you're in the comforts of your own home. You could have your PJs on, and you don't have to worry about the weather being in the 20s. So getting exercise or activity can be done in a lot of different ways without having to go to a gym or do something.
Well, I mean, you know, again, you get to be an old man. Showing off my body and watching people cringe and young children vomit, you know, and
it's not pretty.
No.
Not pretty.
So I'm not going to go to the gym,
Okay.
you know, and try and look manly. But a lot of people do, and my hats are off to them.
Absolutely.
But at home, I mean, the first walker we ever bought,
Uh-huh.
I think between the two of us, we may have put 3 miles on it in
Oh,
2
okay.
years. You know,
It served for to hang your clothes at night
Yes.
when you took them off.
And then we realized if we put a television set in front of it,
That's key.
all of a sudden,
Yep.
the time seemed to go faster.
Absolutely. And it also makes a difference what shows you're watching. So some people will do really well with talk shows, and others need a sitcom. It depends on how quickly the show
Oh, I hadn't
moves.
thought
and how,
about that.
so if you're really into it, I mean, how many shows have you walked in front of that you say, oh, aren't I done yet? This seems like I've been walking for an hour, and you look and it's 10 minutes. And other shows, you're just so involved in the show, you're just keeping your eye on the time.
See, I get dual exercise because if I walk, then I use the remote control. So
Nah, I don't think so. I've never seen that as listed
that
as an
doesn't
exercise.
count.
Nah.
My thumb is moving really.
Right, it's really working really good.
Because I'll
Yeah.
start watching Fox News
Okay,
and then move over to CNN.
okay,
So somewhere between them,
Yep.
I figure is reality. Because
okay.
in one case,
Whatever
all
works.
the blue people are terrible. In
Right.
the other case, all the red
Red people
people are Satan.
Right.
And you sit there and say, okay, well, somewhere in the middle,
Isn't this good? Yeah,
it should
Yeah.
be reality.
right,
But at least as you're doing things.
absolutely. And, you know, I think some people find they can't do TV because of the ads, and they have to do something like a cable that might not have an ad or something like that because they can't stay focused. So it's whatever, my feeling about exercises is whatever works for you. Some people it may be as simple as taking a can of soup and just kind of doing curls and, you know, lifting it. You know, the dietitians always say that's what soup should be used for because of the amount of salt
Sodium in it.
Right. But getting, as I say, getting up and just walking in front of the TV set, walking up and down the stairs a couple of times, even sitting in a chair and lifting a leg and putting it down, lifting the other leg, or getting up to a standing position and sitting back down. Those are all good exercises that if you do it a few times, someone who isn't exercising at all, if they do it 5 times every day at the end of the week, they're going to be able to do it 6 or 7. And that's really the goal here. I don't think it's to get people who will never go to a gym.
This isn't to get somebody to go and be that guy that says, I pick things up, I put things down.
No, and that's not, it doesn't really solve anything. All that does is kind of make muscle mass. What we're looking for is to get in shape, give our heart the exercise that it needs. And you know, it's easier said than done, but I think anyone can do that if they want to.
Well, I mean, you always hear, look at me, I'm too big, I'm too tired, I can't do any exercise.
And I think you just hit the nail on the head when I say to someone, well, are you doing any kind of activity or exercise? And they say, no, I'm too tired. One of the symptoms of high blood sugar, and one of the key symptoms of high blood sugar, is fatigue or tiredness. So if your blood sugar is really high or you've just eaten a big meal, the first thing you want to do is sit and probably fall asleep in front of the TV or something like that because the blood sugar has just risen. So if you were to eat the big meal, let it digest, maybe help with the dishes or whatever, and then take a little walk, you would have energy for the evening. But the problem is that's not our typical. Where our typical is we're trying to wind down from the day. We're tired.
I mean, realistically, isn't that the body's self-defense mechanism?
Sure.
Sit down, do nothing, go to sleep so I can metabolize the carbohydrates. And then eventually when I've metabolized enough of the titer of carbs, comes down and, okay, I'm feeling better.
Right. But rather than allowing your sugars to go up from those carbs that you ate, why not look at something that would either prevent them from going so high or the choices that you're choosing, the type of food, maybe aren't the best. Or sometimes it's a quantity. You know, we're looking at the holiday season. I'm sure this is going to...
Thanksgiving and Christmas has got to be the worst.
It's terrible. It's terrible. It's so difficult. But if you're, you know, a couple of things, if you're going to parties, and this could be all year round, if you're going to a party, eat something before you go to the party so you're not starved when you see the spread and you get there and you eat everything that isn't nailed down. Try say to yourself, I'm going to have a bite of everything, but I'm not going to eat a lot of anything. So do kind of little things that will get you through without overdoing.
Well, a lot of people are starting to put out the rabbit food. So you sit there and say, I think part of it is, if I think I'm hungry, I want to gnaw.
Right.
And
I
there's
need
the
to chew.
brownies, there's all this stuff that my darling bride is, giving me the mother's eye. Like,
Okay.
but there's all this rabbit food. So if I chew on a carrot, a little
Right.
baby carrot or something, doesn't that serve as a placebo almost that gets me feeling like I'm eating? But
Absolutely. I think the idea of chewing and getting filled up. But I think we know what types of foods, when we eat them, make us feel full, and what types of food we're looking for something else in an hour or two. Because there's certain foods. I can tell you, with me, if I were to have breakfast and have an omelet or a couple of eggs for breakfast, I'm good for about 4 hours. But with me, if I were to have some cereal for breakfast, I'm going to be looking for something in an hour and a half or 2 hours. Now, that very well may be just me, but I think we all have certain foods that are going to make us feel satisfied, and other foods that are going to make us feel hungry. One of the reasons why you feel hungry after something like a cereal is it's a carbohydrate. It raises blood sugar. When blood sugar goes up, one of the symptoms of higher blood sugar is hunger. So the more carbs we eat, the more carbs we're going to want to eat.
so, wait a minute. Special K, those little cardboard
The little things,
things
right?
that my darling bride gives me. I mean,
Yummy.
Frosted Flakes would be heaven.
That would be good. That would be
Those taste great.
Yeah.
I love them.
Yeah.
But you can see the sugar.
good. You absolutely can.
I mean, they are pure sugar with a little bit of grain
Right.
holding it
And
up.
I'm not sure it's whole grain, but they do taste good. I'm with you on that one.
But if I go to the cardboard cereal,
Right.
the Special K and all,
Yeah.
isn't that better, even if I throw some Sweet and Low or some kind of
Better
L-phenylalanine,
than what?
than going to the sugary cereals?
Absolutely. And I'm not saying cereal is bad. Cereal's good. You've got oatmeal, you've got a lot of high fiber cereal. But if you're finding that after you eat the cereal, an hour and a half later, you want more food, then that cereal isn't the answer for you. Or you need to take that cereal and make sure you've got a protein with it. A hard-boiled egg, some low-fat cheese, something that you're eating that's going to carry you through. Because the cereal itself is raising your blood sugar. The higher blood sugar is making you hungrier.
Even if it's cardboard like Special K?
Even if it's cardboard, because it's carb.
Oh,
So,
I thought it was safer.
no.
I don't see
No,
any
I'm
sugar on
sorry.
it.
Right.
It
No,
doesn't taste
right.
really good, so
No.
it must be good for me.
Well, and I think that's all in our heads. There's a lot of good cereals out there. You've got your Cheerios, you've got your Wheaties. They're all fine. Just look at the side of the box, see what it's telling you, the portion,
dreaded,
portion size.
Yeah, you get all excited where it says, oh, it's not that. Oh, wait a minute. You get
That's
3
for
flakes.
a quarter of a
Yeah.
cup, right.
Yeah, you get 3
Yeah.
flakes of cereal. That's your portion.
So that's what you really want to know. Do I get enough? If you're someone who likes a big quantity of food, and quantity or portion sizes is important,
Yeah, and I
then
think realistically, it's that satisfaction of if I eat a lot of something, mentally,
I'm happier.
I'm happier.
Right. And-
I got a trough of it in
Right,
front of me.
right.
When we lived in Paris, and the food was so
The
beautiful.
food is little, yeah.
It's like, okay, now I know why these people are so short. I shouldn't say that.
Absolutely. So,
But,
yeah,
I looked and I said,
Yeah.
this is not a meal.
right.
This is an hors d'oeuvre. And it's like, no, that's a full meal.
So we're probably not the healthiest eaters in the world. But I think for the most part we're learning and definitely trying to do better.
So now, Portuguese boy from the Heights here in Milford, grew up, and my mother always used to get mad at my father and I because she kept saying, you eat every day the same food. I said, no, we don't. One day we have steak and French fries. One day we have steak and mashed potatoes.
Right,
One
okay.
day we have steak and boiled potatoes.
Okay.
So to us, that was different meals
That was
every day.
different, right.
Today, if I have a steak every second or third week, it seems like a lot.
Yeah.
I'm constantly eating dead fowl, you know, whether it be chicken
Right.
or turkey,
Yep.
it seems like we've shifted over. And at this point, it's like when I first started and I tasted a Diet Coke. It was like, oh my God, yuck.
This is awful. Right.
Recently, I got a soda that was Coke
Mm-hmm.
at a restaurant by accident,
Mm-hmm.
and
It was very sweet.
it was
Yeah,
horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't
It
it
was-
funny what we get used to?
And that, I'm thinking, you know, when I look at dinner,
Yep.
at this point, my darling bride is a much bigger steak fan, and my
Okay.
ungrateful offspring, number one, they love steak.
Okay.
To me, I'll take a dead chicken or turkey
Right.
over it all the time.
You've adjusted to that.
I don't know why, but I'm assuming
Well,
it's better for me.
absolutely, and especially if you're taking the skin off, because that's where the high fat is. But absolutely, it's a very low fat meal, and that a lot of the weight loss diets are giving you that as a free food, or you can eat as much of it as you want. They're not counting it in the diet.
But carbohydrates or fat? What's my biggest worry? Or is it a
Both.
balance?
I think balance. Life is balanced. So carbohydrates are going to raise your blood sugar right away. Fats are going to raise it in a few hours after you eat it. So if you have the perfect storm, like something like French fries, you're going to have the increase right away from the potatoes, and then a couple hours later when your blood sugar starts to come down, it's going to rise again from the fat kicking in.
Now, we have this communist infiltrator called an air dryer.
Oh, okay.
And I was told
Yeah,
that
I know what-
it's better than, you know, French fries that are.
Probably is. Right, because you don't have the oil, you're not frying something.
So going to the air dryer type is going to, again, I can't have French fries like I love.
Right, and the potatoes. So you want to be reasonable in your portion sizes.
So if somebody they're open and they want to listen to you and they say, what should I have for breakfast? What's a good breakfast for a fat old man or woman?
Well, I would start by saying, what do you like? Because that's what's important. It's not, you obviously don't like the cardboardy cereals, so that probably is not the way to go because you're not going to enjoy it. So you pick out breakfasts that you like, and then you kind of adapt. You make them so that they're good for you.
Now, eggs,
Eggs are great.
as long as you're not worried about cholesterol.
Right, and I think they got a bad rep a number of years ago, and I probably wouldn't recommend them every single day, but you could have them 2 or 3 days a week without a problem. So, as I say, I would talk to your doctor or dietitian if you see one about that, but usually they don't take away things like eggs.
If I
Good
put
food.
bacon in there, I get yelled at. That's going to be a bad thing,
Well, but
right?
there's good bacon out there. There's
Oh, the cardboard turkey bacon?
No, I found a good one. But so there's I believe the brand is Al Fresco, and it's a chicken bacon. Give it a try.
First time I was in Sands Hotel in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia.
Oh, okay.
And they came over and they said, would you like bacon with your eggs? I'm like, wait a minute, what country am I in?
Yeah, that's
You
right.
know, it'd be like being in Tel
Oh,
Aviv
that's
and being
right.
offered
Or in
bacon,
ham.
you know.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, but how does that work? And they had beef bacon and fake
Interesting.
bacon.
Okay.
At that point, I'd been in country for 5 days, so any bacon
Well, it's
tasted
good. It
great.
tastes good. Right. Right. Well, try that. See if you like it.
What else would you recommend at breakfast?
Breakfast is the toughest meal. We should eat it. It's a very important meal, but we often don't get protein in with our breakfast. And that's a problem. Frequently, breakfasts are just carbs, straight carbs with a cereal or toast. So if you're having toast and you like peanut butter, put some peanut butter on it. If not, have your toast with some little bit of margarine, butter, or low-fat jelly. Low-sugar jelly. But do something with some cheese, a low-fat cheese. Or I like to cook a chicken once a week and pull pull it off the bone and put it in a little Ziploc bag because I like cold chicken. So that could be part of the protein for breakfast. It doesn't really matter what it is, just if it's some protein. Cottage cheese, wonderful source of protein.
Yeesh.
If you don't mind the texture. And
I was like,
obviously the
ew.
texture's a problem for you. But I think what it comes down to with diet is being reasonable.
Now, I was told eat some fruit.
Fruit's good, you just don't want to exceed 3 portions a day.
Okay, I get it in the morning, I get up, I walk out of the house about 5 o'clock, grab 2 bananas. So I got my bananas.
There's your 2 fruits, okay.
Is that, how many portions is a banana?
Well, if it's not a huge banana,
It's a yellow banana. I mean, I don't.
okay, but they have small bananas and large bananas.
Okay.
If you're going for a small banana, you could probably be 1 portion. If you're going for one of the huge ones, it probably should be cut. And just remember, when we like a food, it's usually the first bite that we savor that tastes the best of all of it. Then we're eating because it's there. We're eating because we want to. We can. But when we're craving a food, it's usually the first bite. After
That's
that,
interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
yeah. So we're just eating because we can.
Now, any fruits better than others?
No, it's just really portion sizes. So when you're looking at something like grapes, it's 17 small ones or 12 large ones. If you can be happy with that amount, more power to you. Or freeze them and do frozen grapes. But we've never
Frozen
done
grapes?
Frozen grapes. Oh, they're wonderful. Wash them, freeze them, and now they become crunchy. They're
Never
very
had
good.
a crunchy grape.
They're very good.
I'm learning things all.
Very good. But so what you want to do is, so grapes you don't get as much of. The clementines, which we're in season for now, you get 2 of those as 1 portion. That might be something because you're getting more. That might be more interesting.
I loved an orange, but now they seem to be harder to peel, depending
I
on
think
the
it depends on what kind, yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
I tried getting navel oranges. They used to have the nice thick skin,
Yeah.
and you could just peel them off
yeah.
and nibble on them all the
I
way.
always felt cheated by them because they have this, they look big, and then when you get in the inside, you only have a little orange.
Yeah, but then you're not trying to peel off that skin
Yeah.
and fight it.
The little
I don't
skinny.
ask much of my
I
food.
do, right.
I want it to lay there and be eaten.
Eaten. You don't want to work for it.
Yeah, fighting me so I have to work for my
Okay.
breakfast.
Not going to work. Not going to happen.
Okay.
So
Any other suggestions for breakfast?
I think the other thing is no meal should be huge. You know, be reasonable and make sure that whatever you're eating for breakfast is carrying you through, that you're not looking for food in a couple of hours. You're in your car, so you may find that, yeah, it's not carrying me as far. Or I haven't got access to food, so it is going to carry me farther.
I guarantee it carried me an hour and a half because it takes me that
Right.
long to drive to work.
See? So that you've got that kind, it's not going to be as much of an issue for you, but if you get to work and say, I need something, then that's a problem.
Yeah, and for me, I think the substitution is coffee.
Okay,
Or now that
that's
I have
awesome.
my 1 cup of coffee in the morning, and if we have a show,
Yep.
1 at night. Of course, they're 24 ounces, so it's
Right,
a
so it's
large
more than 1
coffee.
cup, right.
But then I just keep a water bottle,
Perfect,
and I'm
perfect.
constantly drinking water,
Great.
and that
And that
seems
fills
to
ya.
fill me up.
And a lot of people don't realize that. But when you're hungry or looking for something, sometimes just putting in a big glass of water will make you feel satisfied for the time being. Your body doesn't necessarily need one thing versus another. That's your brain.
No, but I can
Yeah.
fool myself because I've got my
Right.
big water container,
Perfect.
and I can sit there and just, every 2 minutes drink. It's a placebo. It's empty.
But think about what it's doing to your blood sugar, because it's actually, as you drink the water, it's purging the sugar out of your body. So when you go to the bathroom and you pee, you're peeing out the sugar. You're getting rid of it. So if someone were to come into the emergency room with very high sugars, the first thing we usually do is put an IV in the arm and
get
open
water
up
through them.
and flush through all the a lot of the extra sugar that's floating around. So you can do that yourself with just drinking water. So people say, is there anything I can do when my sugar's high? Yeah, push water. Not caffeine. It has to be, I would go with water or something that is decaf.
Well, I mean, you think of any alkaloid, it's going to be a vasoconstrictor. So it's not going to help your pressure. And
Right. But also, if it's got caffeine, it holds fluid in. So you want to be able to get rid of the fluid. You're getting rid of the carbs. You don't want to keep them in.
So the more water you drink.
Absolutely. The better your sugars will be.
Offices now do have a water cooler.
Many do.
That keep the water nice and cold. So I like cold water.
Perfect.
So instead of reaching for a drink, a soda, I'll reach for.
If you're in your car this season, you can leave a case of water bottles in the back of your car. They'll be nice and cold.
Mine freeze. I got to bring them in.
Never had that problem. Never had that problem. They usually stay pretty good.
I remember last year I'd come out, I'm all excited, because now they have water with flavor.
Right.
Which is still nothing more than water and a drop of flavor. And you get to the car and it's frozen. And you're like, okay, you're teasing me.
Yeah,
because now I really want that water.
I got myself psyched for it.
And I'm holding it up against the
heater.
The heater.
Right. Yeah, we've all been there and done that.
How about lunch? Again, I keep being told that portion control is
key.
Is key.
And, anything you're going to eat as far as a healthy diet, that's all you're looking for. So if your lunch is a sandwich or soup or salad, that's fine. If your lunch has a brownie with it, that's probably not the ideal thing. And do you really need it? Are you hungry? Or is the brownie really going to handle that hunger? I think, when we think about it, we know what really puts on the weight, what raises blood sugars, what makes us unhealthy. That's not a mystery. I think most people know that.
Some of it is psychological for me because I want a dessert.
Absolutely.
So I'll make sure, I eat the little dog food things, the Hungry Man or whatever.
Okay.
And I've had to be careful because I found some that were really tasty. And then my darling bride points.
Yeah.
700 calories.
Right.
It's like,
right.
Right. Right. So, the Hungry Man with turkey is 360 calories.
Okay.
So I can eat one whole little tray of dog food, and there's enough there that it fills me up.
Perfect.
And then I've got to sneak, an orange or something so that mentally I'm getting my dessert.
You get your sweet, absolutely. And, there's things like sugar-free Jell-O or sugar-free pudding or popsicles or fudgesicles that are all sugar-free that are going to be good enough to solve that I really want a sweet. Every once in a while you're going to want something that you really want.
The popsicles that are sugar-free really do help at night when
Absolutely.
I want to nosh. I just want to gnaw on something.
Absolutely.
So I'll grab 2 full popsicles, and I think they give me 4 calories.
Yes, they're very, very low. There's nothing in them.
It's water, color, and some artificial flavor.
Perfect. I've got people that do that with Jell-O, the sugar-free Jell-O.
Yeah.
They make a big bowl of it and then just eat it with a spoon. Yeah. So I think it's whatever you like, and it's whatever we convince ourselves.
Well, the other thing, too, like the Jell-O, I knew it was good for me because I wasn't getting yelled at when I ate half the bowl.
Right. That's right.
But it's also economical.
Sure.
Because, we have to be careful that some of the times they say you can go on these super-duper controlled diets, and, for a mere $50,000 a day,
right,
a nutritionalist will make, most people don't have.
That's right. And that's why, you're talking about the gym. A lot of people don't have the money to pay for something like that. Same thing with a lot of food. The thing you have to ask yourself is, do I have the money to do the snack stuff? Am I spending $4 for a bag of popcorn?
Yeah.
Because if you are, could that $4 go toward, cooked chicken or something? Not that one.
But, it's amazing because when you look at the cost of any kind of dead fowl, the chicken or a turkey, I'm amazed at how much turkey you get for a small amount of money.
Absolutely.
you know, when you think about it, so if I'm living on a budget,
Absolutely.
and I want to be healthy.
Yep.
Because my ungrateful offspring number 2 comes home, and I see her doing chicken breasts and turkey breasts, and she does a whole week's worth, and puts stuff with it, and puts it in her little Tupperware, and
that's awesome.
she does it because I think she won't take the time.
Yep.
During the day.
But there's something to be said for that. There's something to be said for taking a day where you're not working or home, preparing meals for the week. Because I think one of the things that we fall into is we get, we know it's dinner time and we say, oh, we have to make dinner. Okay, what are we going to have? Oh, I don't know. What do you want to have? Oh, I don't know. Let's just go pick up something.
Yeah, Chinese delivers.
Right. So yes, and you know, more and more places are delivering. So are we really eating as healthy as we'd want to eat? Or are we just depending on it's more convenient to do this?
Well, and again, it's the balance, because I think if you behave yourself during the week.
Sure.
You know, like now especially, they have those little salad trays that I find absolutely delicious. Gives me a salad, gives me some ham, you know, just.
Oh, yeah.
They're like $3.
Perfect.
So I'll take one of those and use balsamic, and all of a sudden, I mean, I've seen people say, well, I'm eating healthy, I'm eating salads. Yeah, but the 5 scoops of Thousand Island dressing?
Right.
I mean, you got 1 milliliter as a portion of Thousand Island dressing.
Right. We're now
There's a reason it tastes so good.
Right. Right.
You know?
But I think again, it comes down to being reasonable and not making certain assumptions about what we eat, about what we do, how we should act, the way we should be. I think, you know, when we look at diabetes, we're looking at really doing things healthy as opposed to doing things because I have diabetes.
Now, I go to my physician, and he harpoons me, takes out blood, and says your A1C is too high.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if I don't know I'm diabetic, because I found out when I was turned down for some keyman insurance at my company, and they said, well, you didn't disclose that you're diabetic. And I said, well, there's a really good reason for that. I'm not.
No.
And they said, surprise, you are.
Interesting.
But how would people...
How would they know?
How would they know or suspect, or what do they do?
Well, one of the things with diabetes is you don't necessarily have symptoms. There's no way you would know. So hopefully you're going to your physician and you're getting regular checkups from your physician, because there's a lot of things that are hidden. High blood pressure, it's hidden. You're not going to know you have it, but it causes strokes, or it can cause a stroke. It can cause a heart attack. Same thing with diabetes. Stroke, heart attack, all these things come from running high blood sugars over time. So when you go to the doctor, and if you're someone who goes several times a year, he or she's going to do blood work on you, and they're going to be able to say, this is a routine test that they do. They're going to check for blood sugars. They're going to check your A1C and find out, okay, there's some diabetes here. We need to address it. And that's where we come in as trying to help you decide what you're going to do and what changes you could make. And it's not all or nothing. It's not you can never eat this again, or you have to go to the gym. You can never eat again.
Don't eat for a month and you'll...
Right, you'll be fine. You know, you got to lose 150 pounds. That's ridiculous. You know.
Yeah, but I think a lot of it, like, instead of always reaching for a steak, now I get a dead chicken.
Yep.
And after a while, I actually prefer chicken.
Absolutely. It's whatever we get used to.
You know?
Yeah. And you've got things like pork. You've got other things that you could eat that doesn't have a lot of fat, and it would give you the variety. And so people... I think people get in their mind, you know, I couldn't live if I didn't have my steak. You know, if I didn't have my French fries or whatever. I think it's just that they haven't tried different kinds of eating.
Yeah, I had once somebody said, well, do you think you can live with it? I couldn't live without all this steak. Really?
Yeah.
Do you know what it's doing to you?
Right.
You better start substituting, or you will live or not live with it.
Right. And you know, as we get older, don't you want to live, don't you want to feel better, feel good, be healthy, be able to do whatever you want to do?
Well, I remember when I was about 20 pounds heavier, a good solid meal, and I always blame the turkey, saying it's tryptophan, it's making me tired, but it wasn't.
It wasn't,
I
it
think
was
it was
just sugar.
just the bulk carbohydrate load I was placing on my body.
Right. And as the sugar went up, that one of the symptoms of higher blood sugar is tired. So when people come in and they say, you know, I'm tired all the time, but I work hard and I'm stressed and I'm getting older and stuff. No, that doesn't make us tired all the time. What makes us tired all the time is when blood sugars go up.
Meat lovers pizza. And then after I eat a pie,
Yes.
I'm tired.
You're tired. Wow, what a surprise. I know, I'm shocked.
I can almost feel my artery
Yes.
just hardening, you know,
That's
just
right.
becoming the density
right.
or the viscosity going up to a point where, okay, the poor heart is saying, I think
I've
I
had
can.
enough.
I think I can push
Yeah.
this stuff.
And you know, people come in and people are going to say, I just don't have the energy to walk, to get some exercise. I'm too tired. And then as the sugars start coming down and they start to exercise or do some walking, and they say, you know, I'm walking every day, I'm feeling great. Well, that's because they're walking, so they're getting the exercise, and their sugars are coming down. This is something that people can do if they want to.
Well, you know,
gotta want
again, I don't have to go to the gym.
Nope.
Okay, I mean, I know I'm rotund, so there's certain things I'm not going to run 5 miles.
No.
I have no knees left. I'm not going to do it.
Nope.
But even sitting on the couch, starting to move my leg
Absolutely.
for 5 minutes,
Yep.
and then my other leg for 5, and you say, well, that's not much, but it's something.
It's more than sitting there. I think one of the things that tell people to do is walk in place in front of the TV.
But see, that's what I was getting to. Pretty
Yep.
soon, maybe the next step is get off my delicate derriere,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to walk around the room, but I'll just walk in place.
Just walk in place. Walk in place. You can speed up, you can slow down, you can turn around, you can just walk there. But people don't think of it. You know, and then you can go on to things like YouTube has a bunch of exercise videos. On Demand has a lot. You know, a lot of different places you can do things. So if you say, oh, never done yoga, I wonder if I'd like it. So go on and try yoga.
I
See,
tried yoga.
Not for you.
Even when I was young, my body didn't bend in
That way? Okay.
And then they were sensitive when they have all these names for things like militant chihuahua or
Yeah,
whatever they
right,
called it,
yeah.
downward dog.
Downward dog, yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, she's calling me a dog.
No.
But again, it was just something.
Yep.
You know, my company offered a yoga class at 6 a.m.
Wow.
So we got, it was half a dozen of us got in.
Yeah.
We were all about the same body shape. So, I mean, one of the problems I have with some of these YouTube videos, they show these fat people who weigh 80 pounds.
Yeah, right.
You know, look at my pinky. Look how fat it is.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, seriously.
Really?
You know, come on. Let's look
I'm
at
with you.
normal people
Yeah. Right.
and show me what normal people can do.
Absolutely.
And then
Absolutely.
I can feel better because I'm not going to be jumping up and down and spinning around for 45 minutes.
No, nor do you have to. But there's a lot of different things. So if one exercise doesn't work for you, try another. The senior centers have low cost or free exercise programs. Milford High School offers a walk, the Milford Park and Rec offers a
walk through the high
walking,
school?
Yes. And I want to say it's $10 for the season. And you can go in, it's a couple nights a week, and you can just walk.
We saw people while we were there just
Yeah.
walking through the...
Absolutely.
When you look at Milford as a town, Miss Sue down at the senior center got the town to put up $75,000 to do a rec room for seniors. And she says it's so busy because, again, they're not trying to say you should look like a 20-year-old,
Right.
you know, stick figure.
Right. And it's not just for seniors either. So if you're not a senior but you want to go in and try it, they're going to let you in. They're not going to say you're not old enough.
So watching your food, doing some kind of, whether it's
Activity.
wiggling your leg until you wiggle 2 legs until you
Right.
stand up and walk in place,
Right.
some kind of activity,
Right.
because that's going to be good for your heart anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
And then if you've got diabetes, what you're going to want to do is maybe test your blood sugar, because that's the only way you're going to know what's going on. And if you're on any medicine, to take it. You know, don't make a big deal out of it. Just take it as the doctor.
You know, and it's funny because I'll get up in the morning and I dread that little meter because I know what I had for dinner last night. You know, if I had a nice salad and
not a problem,
then that's a friendly meter.
Right.
But, you know, at 5 o'clock in the morning, it's looking at me with a grimace saying, I'm going to get you.
Right.
That
I know what you did.
That pizza you had last night, it's still here.
Right, right. And that's true. But the thing is, vary the testing times. Morning tells you one thing. It's going to tell you how high you've been overnight. But what are you before you go to bed? Are you going to bed with a blood sugar of 100 and waking up with a blood sugar of 180? Or are you going to bed with a blood sugar of 180 and waking up with a blood sugar of 100? So you don't know. And what's important is that you look at the whole day and determine where the problems exist. Is my problem after lunch or after breakfast? If it's 2 hours after breakfast every day, then maybe rethinking what is eaten for breakfast might be a good approach. But don't make this all so it's a lot of work. Once you find out what it is, just go with it. It should be healthy, and it shouldn't be, I've got all these restrictions placed on me. I think that's what people feel, is they feel that I got to do all this. Oh, my goodness. But we all should be doing all this.
But, you know, it's like Diet Coke. You know, as a part of a time in my life when if you said drink the diet sodas, I would have looked at you and said, no.
Really?
Really. I mean, when I grew up, if you had told me that the bottling companies would be bottling water in higher quantities than soda, I would have asked you to share the narcotics because the view from your world was different from mine.
Absolutely.
But now, it's significantly more little bottles of water than little bottles of Coke.
Absolutely.
You know, when you start thinking about the days of Krispy Kreme donuts, I mean, that's just pure sugar.
Absolutely.
You know, you could just see it coated, dripping, warm, wonderful sugar.
And it tastes good, and we all like it. But how much of it do we need? And what's it doing to us long term? So if you want something that's sweet, you have a bite of it, and you move on.
But see, I think you've said something that's profound, which is, okay, I want the brownie. So I'm going to nibble the brownie. I'm going to take 2 nibbles out of the brownie and leave the bulk of the brownie alone.
Right.
So mentally, I've got my brownie.
Absolutely.
You know, or I tried nibbling 3 little bits out of, in Milford, you got to have a little bit of cannoli, right? But you don't have to eat the whole cannoli.
That's it. And that's the smart, that's the thinking about healthy and eating healthy and doing more healthy things for ourselves. You know, it's all about us. It's all about what we can do to stay healthy, to get healthy, and to stay healthy. And yes, when you have a chronic disease like diabetes, it takes a little bit more work, maybe a lot more work. But the outcome, what we get from it, is terrific.
Yeah, but realistically, door number 1, ignoring it,
it's not a good one. No, it's not your best choice.
No matter what happens on door number 2, it's got to be better than door number 1.
Right. And you know, the things that can go wrong when you run high sugars for a long time aren't good. You know, we've got stroke, we've got heart attack, and kidney failure, and lots of things, and even things like not healing. We see this all the time. Somebody gets a cut and it just balloons into a cellulitis or an infection that just kind of consumes the body. These are problems. And it means that we're not paying attention to our body. And we need to pay better attention.
Things like cuts that don't heal in a regular time. That would be a hint that you should go talk to your physician.
That'll be a hint that, yes, there's something that's preventing healing from going on.
What other non-indicative indicators would you say to watch out for?
Well, the real blatant symptoms of being hungry after an hour after you've eaten, thirsty, real dry skin. That is a sign that we're losing fluid, and that could
But
be.
now, wait a minute. I'm drinking water all day.
Right.
So is that a bad sign? That
No. But you're not drinking it because you're thirsty, because you're parched. You're drinking water all day.
Oh, I see. So if you have
So-
a very parched mouth.
Right. If you say, my mouth feels like I'm eating cotton, I've got a drink. That's the symptom. Not you're drinking it because you're using it to fill yourself up, because it tastes good for you. You're drinking it because you want to drink it, as opposed to, I got to put something in my mouth. I'm so dry.
That makes sense.
So if legs or hands are starting to hurt and you're getting some pain, or that could be a sign that the nerve endings are getting swollen from high sugars. There aren't real set symptoms that you could say this one's diabetes. So the biggest thing is go to your doctor, get checked out. But even if you don't have diabetes, if you have a family history, start looking at what you could do to get more healthy. Sometimes it's losing 5 pounds. Sometimes it's walking a couple of days a week, and even if it means in front of your TV, walking in place, it's okay. Not eating the whole brownie, but taking a bite and handing it to someone else, getting it out of your sight.
Good dog, come over here.
Right, right.
I'll get yelled at.
Chocolate isn't probably a good move, but yeah.
But, I can give.
Yeah. And I think we say, poor me. And we do this all the time. So basically what diabetes educators do is kind of help people to bring their sugars down by helping them change some of the behaviors into a more positive behavior. Not giving up everything you've ever liked in your whole world, not doing something you can't do, but really helping you through the hard part, making it easier for you, chunking it down, as we say. So instead of saying, okay, can never eat this again, okay, let's be more reasonable about it.
But it's so much fun to be dramatic. I can never do this again.
Right. And that's not true, because you're going to do that.
Right.
Human nature is we're going to go to a party, and there's going to be something that we've loved. And we're going to do it.
Thousand Island dressing on the salad.
Okay.
And
we're going to do it.
Well, okay, so I'll live with balsamic vinaigrette,
Right.
and all of a sudden, like the Diet Coke, it becomes normal.
Right. Or we're going to say, I'm going out tonight, and I'm going to eat. It's a special occasion. I'm going to eat something I probably know that isn't particularly healthy for me. So I'm going to take a walk today.
Yeah.
Or I'm not going to eat something this afternoon.
I'm going to eat very light this afternoon to make
Right.
up.
There's ways we could look around this to allow ourselves to do this.
Now, you hear the drinking in general is not a wonderful thing, but
Drinking
is it worse?
alcohol?
Yes.
Is that what we're talking about?
With diabetics?
Well, I think anything in excess is worse, but I don't think drinking alcohol is necessarily worse. You just want to look at what you're drinking. If it's a very sweet wine, yeah, that's probably not a good choice.
Or a very sweet liqueur? Or
Yeah. Beer is high in carb, but if you can go to a lighter beer, then it's not as high. But if you're having a beer, are you still going to have the potato and the slice of bread? Because now you've tripled your carbs. So I'm not saying you want to drink a lot of alcohol, but I'm saying it's allowed.
like everything, a little bit?
A little bit, and using common sense. Find someone that can help you with this. Oftentimes it seems overwhelming. See if you can chunk it down into little pieces instead of saying, I can never do this again. Talk to people. And don't necessarily listen to the person down the street that says to you, oh, you can't do that. Are you sure they know what they're talking about? Get a lot of people in with a lot of misconceptions.
Well, and again, it's like my lunch of dog food, that Hungry Man platter.
Yeah.
It was simple that certain of them were 600 calories. Yipe. Others were 300.
Right. And
Well,
did you like the 600 twice as much?
No,
as the
and that was the
300?
funny part.
Yeah.
Because once
mentally, I changed over and I get the turkey version.
Yeah.
It's big. It satisfies mentally. And the brownie, I'll nibble a couple little pieces and leave it alone.
Absolutely. And you feel like you got something. There
And
was
then
a
I have
treat
my
there.
orange next to it, so I feel like I'm getting my dessert anyway.
That's right. And it's, you know, that's kind of something that is in our head. We can convince ourselves of almost anything. We can look forward to things, you know. I often tell people, if you're going to have sugar-free fudgesicles and you don't have it every night, use it as a treat. Something you can look forward to.
The day I was good,
Yep.
I get a fudgicle at night.
Absolutely.
But beware of the one that says no sugar added.
Well, no sugar added just means it's sugar-free. They've got a,
I
That's
looked
okay.
once, and when I looked at the amount of carbs, when it said no sugar added, I said, oh, they're already starting with a ton of sugar.
sometimes.
And then I go to
Look
the
at your
sugar-free.
brand.
Yeah.
Check your brands out. But there's some really good ones. And so that could be a treat.
Well, it's like I said, the popsicles. I'll have as many
Perfect.
as I want, and nobody yells at me.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm in Milford or the area. I'm either pre-diabetic or I am diabetic. And I've woken up to I need to do something.
Today's the day.
Where do I go? How do I get a hold of somebody to say, help me?
You know what? Pick up the phone. If you're in Milford, you could call Milford Hospital, say, I want to talk to diabetes education, and make an appointment. It's as easy as that.
Can I afford it?
Absolutely, because your insurance, which I'm assuming you have, will cover it.
Okay. So this
So
is not out
this
of pocket like.
This is not out of pocket. This isn't like a diet that you're going to.
And some
have
of
to pay.
the Tufts, Harvard,
Yeah, they all pay for
they actually have people reaching out because they've
it.
said
Absolutely.
it's more cost effective for them to get you
Absolutely.
healthier.
Which is why they pay for diabetes education. It's in their best interest. So to get you healthier and keep you healthier, and it's in your best interest. So, you know, except if we're trying to sabotage ourselves,
Well,
we do pretty good. And watch out for the people around you who are trying to sabotage you, too.
without even knowing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. There's people that say, you know, you've lost some weight. Hey, you could have this.
Yeah.
You know, what are they getting at?
Right. Well, thank you.
My pleasure.
As always, we talk about the little hospital that grew up. You know, for a lot of us, it was the Little Red Milford Hospital. Today, world-class medical center. And these are some of the programs that a lot of us don't even know are there. But if you want to learn, then call the hospital, call the Milford Medical Center, and just ask for the diabetes education group and start learning how to be healthier. And as always, God bless, and may our 6 loyal viewers have a healthier and happier tomorrow than today. Thank you, and thank you for all
Thank
you
you
do.
for having us.
Not too long since I've been home.